Hello, everybody. I'm really excited for this interview right now with Wendy Albrecht, and we are acquainted because we actually met during a co-authoring book that we're writing together with a number of different authors. And she shared her story with the group about how she reversed bipolar with ayahuasca, which is a very, very powerful plant medicine. So I'm just going to quickly introduce Wendy. So hi, Wendy.
Hello, Neil.
Thank you so much for coming on, because this is going to be really exciting. I'm really am genuinely excited for this. I am always genuinely excited, but the fact is this is the first interview I've done about plant medicine, and you're about to share some really great nuggets. I know you are. So thank you for being here.
I'm so thrilled. Thank you for having me.
So for those of you who are not aware, ayahuasca is a plant medicine, and its main substance is DMT, dimethyltryptamine. And this is a substance or chemical found naturally in plants and animals and humans. And it's a very, very powerful psychedelic. And it's called a plant medicine because A, it's from a plant, and B, it's a medicine. It's appropriately named. Some people think it's a drug. I don't like to think of it as a drug. Yes, it is mind altering, but it actually helps the body to heal. And there's a big difference between medication and medicine. This is a medicine which helps the body to heal from the inside out, around your brain and the body itself. And it's a very, very powerful medicine. So Wendy, thank you. I'm going to stop waffling now. Can you give us a background as to your symptoms, your story? Let the listeners know what you've discovered.
Certainly. I have had a litany of medical issues starting since third grade, and I'm now 55. And I have done the mainstream medical route, done everything I needed to, anything that was suggested to me. I was a compliant patient, and I just kept getting different symptoms, different medical issues. I was working 70-hour weeks at a job at one point. So I was just driving myself into disability. And in 2004, I lost my job because of some collection of symptoms that my body created called fibromyalgia. And one of the offshoots was years later, starting in 2006, I started having symptoms that physicians were calling bipolar. So it was an acquired bipolar condition. And so I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket doing mainstream medical programs, alternative programs, and I lost my job in 2004. So I have been desperately striving to be a more functioning human being so that I can work again and just give more. This is not why I'm here, is to be ill, is there's reasons that I believe I'm here to help transform the illnesses and to help the world. And so in 2014, I was seeing a psychologist, and she had discovered ayahuasca. And she was going again to Peru, and she suggested that I go with her. And by that point, I was so desperate to just be well. So I would just try pretty much anything that was coming across my path, because I feel that there's a need. That's why it came across my path, is I should look at it critically and see if I should do it or not. And I agreed. And then later, that was 2014. And I later found out that there would be purging involved and other things that in the Western world were like, oh no, I don't think I want to do that. And I addressed that with her, and she said, it's going to be okay. This is something that I think is going to be good for you. Check in with yourself. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And so I did go to Peru with her, And it was the first time I had ever done a psychedelic, because I had in my mind growing up in Chicago that psychedelics, oh, it's just, party drug, what have you, not what I want. I have found something entirely different with my experience with ayahuasca. So in 2014, the shaman in Peru was very gentle with me. The first dose was only like 1/6 of an ounce, which is a very little bit. So I didn't have the pinta, the coloring, the visualization, anything. I didn't really feel like anything was really happening. And we did 3 ceremonies, and that was in Peru. What I did find was when I came back to America, I started feeling great shifts. I felt not only that a veil was lifted and I was able to see things much more clearly, kind of like washing away societal conditioning and how you're supposed to do things. And it just, from the very, and so I did 3 in Peru, 3 ceremonies. So from even that first ceremony, it just seems like every day is an opportunity, every moment is an opportunity to continually be present and figuring out what's the next step, what's the next thing I need to do to not only show up differently in the world, in my life, but also start figuring out ways to unravel the different dis-eases that have showed up in my body.
Wow.
So fast forward, indeed. So fast forward 5 years later, this year, I felt called again to do ayahuasca. And this time I went to Costa Rica, a place that was an entirely different experience. Every time you do ayahuasca is a different experience, but we did 4 ceremonies back to back. So it was very intense and just incredible. But to address the issue that you had said, there have been a number of things that I have been able to do because of plant medicine healing, which you take the medicine and Mother Ayahuasca sees what you need, and then the work is also on your part. So there's been a great deal of work also outside of ceremony. So to address the first round of ayahuasca I did in Peru, when I came back, as I was mentioning, about a month or 2 later, I was starting to feel differently. So I suggested to my psychiatrist that we start titrating me off of the antidepressants that I was on. And they were very, oh, we don't know if we should do that. And I said, well, since I've been on antidepressants, I've attempted suicide 3 times. So you think that it might be better if I'm off of that. It might be a little safer. So finally they started to agree. And I've been off of antidepressants for 5 years and I don't have symptoms of bipolar anymore.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really incredible. Just a quick point about the antidepressants, because normally this is a strict no-no with ayahuasca. You can't take antidepressants when you take ayahuasca. It's like one of the main drugs you can't mix it with.
Correct. And every time, indeed, and every time I've done ayahuasca, I've done the dieta, and I've been off of medications.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
yes. And I want to point out also that medications I was on for GERD, which is a reflux, I was off of that for ayahuasca in Costa Rica, and I've never gone back on it. And that was July of this year. I'm no longer on any medications.
Incredible. That's really quite incredible. It blows my mind, the power of this medicine. And I'm going to call it medicine a lot because it really is. And I've people in my circles have reversed things like fibromyalgia. There's one woman who reversed her fibromyalgia in 3 sittings. and she'd had fibro for 3 decades, no,
Mhm.
2 decades, 20 years. And in just 3 settings, it's gone. And we now understand, you understand the power of the mind-body connection and the role of trauma and trapped emotions on that particular condition, and chronic pain, particularly. Those 2 conditions seem to be so linked with the mind-body connection. And fibro, and of course bipolar as well, and everything. But the power this medicine has to kind of help to reshape the trauma that we have all sustained as humans. I now understand that trauma is pretty much the root cause of almost every illness, and it can make us weaker around the gut, which makes us less able to eat certain foods. That's kind of now how I'm thinking about things. So quick tangent on that one, very, very quickly. If we're weak around the gut, then it's really important to go strictly anti-inflammatory, because it's one of the fastest ways to repair the gut and get everything working again. But before that, it's almost as if there's trapped emotions and trauma, that actually creates low voltage to the gut and other organ systems in the body, which means that we are more susceptible to getting problems from the foods that we eat. I've never said it like that before. That's ultimately what I've discovered. So almost every illness or chronic disease can be traced back to some kind of trauma or trapped emotion. And some people obviously experience trauma in more severe ways than others. But really, if we're walking, talking, breathing human, we have sustained some kind of trauma. And we store it throughout our body, whether it's in our muscle fascia throughout the body, which is kind of this netting which encases our entire physicality, but we also store it in our psoas muscles particularly. And there's lots of work that this medicine is so powerful in helping you to release these trapped emotions, to allow the electrical systems in the body to work again. And it also rewires connections in the brain. And you can almost bypass, there's brilliant videos on this. It can help to bypass the trauma that's been stored. So Wendy, you're kind of like a shining star case study of how this is effective. And maybe you're able to talk more into the experience. You said that Mother Aya showed you what was necessary, and then it was up to you to actually integrate and do the work. That's really important, because ayahuasca can take you out of this world into another world for 3 to 6 hours, and then you land pretty hard again back into this kind of current reality. And the integration phase is super important. And you said something really key and important then, which is it's up to you to do the work as well. So you said that Mother Aya showed you what was necessary. That's really interesting. So it's as if the consciousness, whatever you want to call it, source energy, consciousness, conscious beings. Sometimes we speak to other beings, and when we're journeying, when you journey, you often speak to beings, and I won't go too much into what you experience. It's amazing. But you received a message about what you needed to do. Is that what happened?
Yes, and it's more of an ongoing process. There isn't, in my experience, I didn't have any particular do this, and then, okay, here's your homework, now go do it. It's nothing as clear cut as that in my experience. It's more of being present and figuring out what's the next step. What's the next step? Having a clearer mind, having a clearer psyche, soul, connection to source. I have found that I'm able to figure out what's the next step. This program just came across my path since ayahuasca. Maybe I should look at this. This is another part of the onion that's being peeled away. So it's a very intricate undoing of a lifetime of constant barragement of things that are little traumas. Even, as you're walking to the post office, you know, something were to happen, you know what I'm saying? Like there's all these little things that we minimize that kind of can get very stuck in the body, in the psyche. And I feel that I've done 7 ceremonies of ayahuasca. From having had the amazing ceremonial experiences, for instance, my 4th ceremony, I I birthed my own soul and then reclaimed it. So I just did my own soul retrieval. That was not on my to-do list. That just happened. Do you know what I'm saying? Mother Ayahuasca showed me absolute bliss of, I have goosebumps right now just even talking about it. Just absolute bliss of what life can be like anytime you want to tap into it. So that's just a morsel of a moment in not only the ceremony, but also when you, as you mentioned, integrate. Once you're in the celestial fields, and then you're coming back to being a human again in a body, it takes quite a bit to be able to function again as a human and not just want to always be in the ethers, right? So there's, you know, I believe that we have a soul contract, and it's a lifetime for us to understand why we have been granted a body and a soul in this iteration. It's our blessing, and it's our duty, and it's our contract that we made to source, that, you know, coach put me in, you know, I got some more work to do. I got some ideas. And then the blessing is where it's hidden from us. It's not like, oh, I know exactly what to do, because that's the mystery. That's the mystery that we get to experience if we choose to do that, right? Because we constantly have, as humans, the possibility of selecting in any circumstance, is this going to be a good thing or a bad thing, right? We're always judging, right? Even when we say, okay, we're not going to, you know, but when something is challenging, do I say, oh, that's so bad, it's so tough, I can't deal with it? Or I could say, wow, that was really tough. What should I learn from that? What can I take and go forward from that? So that is another thing that I'm very grateful that I have been able to realize after having done plant medicine on a deeper level. There's certain things that you can do as a human, and then having the assistance and love and just magic from other beings that animate in plants. It's just so grateful that we're able to find a common channel so that we can receive information to help not only ourselves but everyone that we touch.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said. Everything you just said. I think once you get an understanding that there is life beyond these physical bodies, like we're not these kind of intelligent meat robots. We do have a connection to another realm, which is almost, it's going to sound controversial, but it's almost like it's been kept from us. And once we rediscover that, you know, you talked about earlier how you're slowly discovering this stuff, but it's almost like we go through these experiences in life to remember who we are.
Yes.
And ayahuasca and other plant medicines can help us to remember who we are. It takes us out of this understanding that we're separate to the understanding that we're all interconnected. We're in this all together. And we do, I'm with you. I think we have a soul purpose as well. And, you know, you've gone through such a journey of healing over decades. And you're going to be able to share this with so many people and make a massive impact with so many lives as well. So I think, everything you've just shared is, oh no, they just started drilling next door. I feared this was going to happen. The medicine's there to kind of show us and guide us and help us to kind of figure out our path. That's kind of how I see it. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And another truth that has been revealed to me, there are so many, that when we hear other people say we are all one, it is the ultimate truth. And things like connected to source. Source to me is the same thing as universal consciousness, same thing as soul, same thing as intuition.
It's connected to your heart.
Exactly, in the heart, in the heart. Similarly, I love the understanding that everyone really wants the same thing. We express it differently. We go about it differently, whether it's a different type of religion, Catholic versus Arabic, Muslim, just everything. I'm trying to put this into words. I get to a place sometimes where there's such a deep understanding, and then striving to put it into words that we agree on so we can understand the concept sometimes gets to be a little challenging. But do you see where I'm going with this, Neil? Where we really do all want the same thing. We really are all one. And it doesn't matter what job you do. It doesn't matter what religion you pick. It doesn't matter, as long as we are tapping into what is the next thing that's required of me? What's the next way that I can show someone I love them? Again, at the post office, I can hold the door open for someone, or I can let it slam in someone's face. Which is better? Right? For me, I want to leave a wake of positivism. I want to help people. I want to help the world, right? That's my choice. So that's kind of what I was trying to communicate.
Yeah, I think, just kind of, it's kind of responding to that. I think our Mother Ayahuasca helps us to bring us back to source, which is back to love, which is unconditional love. Mm-hmm. And it really helps us to understand not only our own paths, but other people's. And I've come to understand that if someone acts in a way that is, let's just say, separated from love, what it really means is they have become separated from love. So most people, again, go through life experiencing various traumas. And the more traumas that you have, the more separated from your heart or from love we become. So people might commit what we'd call crimes, like even some of the worst crimes ever imaginable. What's happened is these people, they weren't born evil. Everyone's born love, unconditional love, in the pure essence of who they are. And as they go through life, they are subjected to various things which separate them from this love, which also creates dis-ease in the body, which is a major point. Yes. The more separated we are from our heart, the more dis-ease is created, because we're out of alignment with this love. And I'm now of the opinion that once you have harmony in the body, whether it's what you eat or, making sure you're physically active, managing emotions like stress, but ultimately it's about bringing the body back into alignment, into harmony, so symptoms naturally disappear. And I think ayahuasca is a very, very powerful medicine to bring that harmony back, because it brings you back to love. It brings you back to unconditional love. And then it helps us to understand other people if they're acting in a way, you and I have discussed this over the last few weeks, if someone else is acting in a way which seems to be mean or out of character or below expectation of how you'd like them to react, we can go, okay, That's fine. That's their thing. They've just acted out of fear, basically. We act out of fear, we act out of love. And if they've acted out of fear, it's because of their own stuff that they've been subjected to during life. And the power of this plant medicine is it helps us to understand not only ourselves, but also other people. So we can start to be more harmonious with each other, which also helps uplift humanity. Really, it's a very, very powerful medicine. And I'm so sorry for this noise behind me. I could move inside.
Not a problem.
So, yeah, I'm loving everything you've just said. Going back to bipolar, were you on medications beforehand for bipolar?
It started in 2006. There was a shift in brain chemistry in 2006. I really had been pretty even keeled, and even more so like optimistic. I was voted most optimistic in high school. I was a very happy child. I was a very happy adult. And through chronic illness, different chemical issues occur in the body. And I believe the added chronic stress of just dealing with, okay, now I have a new issue. Now I have a chronic issue that I'm dealing with constantly. It started to become what they call secondary depression, and then somehow it became bipolar, where there were manic episodes and such. And so because I kept wanting to get back to work, I went to many psychiatrists, many therapists. I was exhausting all possibilities. And they had suggested, well, let's try this pharmaceutical. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't feel that that's the right thing for me. But I also felt, what if I was non-compliant and that really could be the right thing for me? So I started questioning my own wisdom and say, well, someone else outside me who has some degree must know more than me about my own body. So let's try that, because I want to get back to work. I got to get back to work. That was my whole thing. And so they threw a antidepressant at me, and then I had all of these symptoms. I'm a very pure system. I did ballet since age 2. I ate well. So man-made pharmaceuticals, and I have challenges. So they said, okay, well, that one didn't work very well. You got all these symptoms. Well, here, let's try this other type. So it wasn't even the same type. So I felt like a guinea pig. I felt like, here, we don't really know. This is an art. It's a science, but it's an art. So let's just, figure out, well, that didn't work. Here, try this. And so then you have to wait another month to see, what that does. So I would get to the place where I didn't know when I woke up in the morning, if I even did sleep, what I would be dealing with that day. It was causing extreme anxiety, and I was living alone. So I got to the point where I'm like, I can't live like this anymore. I can't deal with the chronic illnesses. I cannot deal with, I can't, I'm done. I'm at that time, I'm 45, I lived a good life. I'm going to check out. Maybe there's something better in the ethers for me. And I attempted suicide, and it was on antidepressants. I never would have thought about suicide prior to the antidepressants. And I don't want to blame anything or anybody, because everyone is trying their best with whatever toolbox they have. So I am just grateful for my experiences, because I just found one more way that helped me get to the place where, for instance, I discovered ayahuasca. I get to the place where, oh, well, maybe this might help. You see what I'm saying? And
yeah,
and it's just so important to stay connected. It's always good to do research outside yourself, and then always connect with, is this resonating for me? And there's always going to be somebody who says, I don't think that's the best thing for you. You thank you. Let me see. Let me see. Is that working for me? So it's this shift in the relationship with your body, yourself, your source, your experience, so that you can be even greater than where you were a minute ago. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's choices. There's just constant choices.
There are more choices. There's lots of choices. Yeah, and you hit a really good note earlier. Drugs. We most people know now that most drugs mask symptoms. They never get to the cause. I think most people understand that language now, or maybe it's just so ingrained in my head that I just expect everyone to know. That is kind of the case with Western medicine. Medication, really, it's medication. There's a difference between medicine and medication.
Right.
Because medication masks symptoms, allowing you to survive. It puts you into survival mode. Really amazing in life. Threatening situations, it gets us out of trouble, gets us out of pain. Phenomenal. But when it comes to the treatment of common and chronic illness and ongoing symptoms, I have found that they are ineffective and they are more harmful than they are good.
And I do have to say a disclaimer as well. There are people who feel that a medication is what is needed to get through the day.
Yeah.
And I applaud people for knowing what is working for you. It didn't work for me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's horses for courses. It's finding out what's right for you. I just think it's so worth exploring beyond Western medicine, as you have done. It's phenomenally powerful. It can help us function every day. If we need it, it's just let's go beyond it to get to the cause, so we don't have to be on a medication. And you've done that, and you're not on any medication, which is amazing. Everyone I've interviewed on this podcast had to turn their back on Western medicine because they wouldn't have healed with it.
Right.
Everyone has had to do that.
Right.
And it requires a journey, and it requires a journey that you've clearly been on. And it takes courage, and it goes into, I often talk about the red pill, blue pill in the Matrix. It means taking a red pill, going into Alice in Wonderland and figuring out imbalances, because the body doesn't just go out of balance for no reason. There's always a cause. There's always a root cause or several which cause it to go out of balance, which then mean that your body presents the symptoms to you. It's just a different way of looking at things compared with Western medicine. So if I honor you and really value what you've done, because it takes so much courage to go on this journey. And ayahuasca is not for everyone. It's a very, very powerful plant medicine. And some people may not be called to it at all. I just want to share these things because I do think it is a very effective medicine if people are called for it. And I have known people who have used it as part of their healing protocol because it satisfies a number of different things in the body. It actually helps the body to heal. It helps the brain. It helps to rewire trauma, and it helps to give you instructions. It's just out of this. It really is out of this world. I'm really grateful for you sharing your journey, because I think this is going to inspire other people. And it's very interesting that you and I have just done this, because literally on Sunday, I met someone else who used ayahuasca to reverse a very serious illness. And I'm going to be interviewing her quite soon. Who knows? This whole podcast may be going on to plant medicine and healing the body. Who knows? It's just very interesting. And I think in our current day, we're going to see more and more of this as it starts to become more better known. I think it needs to be better known because if people don't know about it, they don't know about their options. And it's just superbly powerful. And it's not just ayahuasca. There's psilocybin. There's magic mushrooms. In other words, there's other forms. Iboga for trauma and addiction. And again, it's not for everyone, but it's just worth to explore and to research.
Well, and one message that I got during one of my ceremonies was, she said, write a book. And that was all she said. And I'm like, wait, what book? What do you want me to say? Right? Like, so I'm like, okay, wait. All right. So a week later, I had the opportunity to become an author on the book that we're in together, you and me, Neil, with 34 other authors. And that would have never come across my consciousness if she hadn't planted that seed in my mind. Additionally, it's branched out from there. I'm now helping proofreading other stories in books for this publisher, which is a huge thing for me because 15 years ago, I lost my job doing as a certified technical writer because of the stress involved. So to come full circle, that wasn't even on my
Radar.
horizon. And then I suggested to the publisher that we do a book on plant medicine. And I just found out several days ago that, yes, it's going to happen. And we're going to start writing it in September and we're going to publish it in 2021. So I'm feeling like this is another avenue to help the world see that we have ways to heal. And it's grand things, and it's also on a moment-to-moment basis of our choosing to continue healing, to continue connecting with people. This is why we're here.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm going to put you on the spot now. And by the way, I just want to touch on what you just said. The body is designed to heal. It will heal just about anything. We just need to figure out how to let it do it, because we're often standing in the way of our own healing, whether it's, you know, we're putting garbage in our mouths, or if we're not moving, or if we're chronically negatively experiencing negative emotions, or whatever it is. There's always a reason why the body isn't healing. So I see us as kind of stepping out of the way and allowing the body to do what it's designed to do. And plant medicine, again, is a very powerful way to do that. And you talked about right at the beginning about how it lifts the veil. I can so relate to that. Whenever I do it, it's literally like this veil is stripped from my brain. And I'm like, oh, hello, world. Hello, fresh world. And it's like that with Cambo as well, powerful frog medicine. So I'm going to put you on the spot now, Wendy. What's your number one vitality secret?
To be present, plain and simple. To figure out, what do I need in this moment? Check in with self. Check in with others. What is needing? If there's a conflict happening with someone, what is really needed here? Think about, what is the person wanting? What am I wanting? Often we shy away from negativity, and I'm finding that we are light and dark in a dual kind of way. And we can choose, do I want to walk in the light? Do I want to look at the flowers? Or do I want an experience that is holding me back, staying in the dark, staying in the weeds, talking about the weeds? So there's choice. There's always choice. And even in some of my darkest moments, there was always a little voice inside me going, there's a better way, there's a better way. So there's a choice. And I hope that everyone knows this, that there's always a choice.
Marvelous. That's beautiful, beautiful. I love that. Everything you just said again. Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to wrap this up now. So thank you so much, Wendy. Is there anything that you'd like to offer the audience? Would you like to share the book that you've co-authored with me, or anything else?
Sure. It's in the Ignite You series that's available on Amazon.com. Our book that you and I are in, Neil, is the 6th book in the series. And we are also working on so many more books. I don't even know how many are slated already. We're about to release Ignite You's Adventurous Spirit. I'm reading those books. They are so inspiring. Every one of the Ignite books is just so inspiring. It's just awesome. And I'm also excited again about we haven't named it yet, but it's the book on plant medicine from this publisher that we're going to be working on later next year. So if anybody wants additional information, they can just go to wendyalbrecht.com and we can connect in that manner.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Wendy. Yeah, the one that we're co-authoring together is called Ignite for Health and Wellness. It's published on the 16th of January. will be available on Amazon. So check it out.
Ignite your health and wellness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
34 stories of how people have reversed all sorts of things.
36. Mm-hmm.
36. Wow. Why didn't I know that? So yeah, it's pretty good. I've read some of the stories, and it's pretty empowering. It's all about empowering people, so it's very cool.
And that one's available the 16th of January.
Yeah, indeed. Check it out. So thank you again, Wendy. That's been really wonderful. Thank you for sharing your nuggets of awesomeness. And thank you for listening, everyone. And please share with anyone you know this will be useful for. Thank you for listening to the Vitality Secret podcast. If you like this, please leave a 5-star rating. And if you loved it, please take a few minutes to leave a review. The more ratings and reviews that are left, the easier it is for this life-changing information to get into the hands of people who need it. Don't forget to join my free 7-day program and ignite your inner healer at vitalitysecret.com.